vision of getting to even across the venture table is why we are here, why you are here, and why we're here as MCs. To reimagine a world where the dynamics of power and influence for women are elevated, biases neutralized, and more female investors invest in female founders. This vision of getting to even across the venture table is why we are here, why you are here, and why we're here as MCs. To reimagine a world where the dynamics of power and influence for women are elevated, biases neutralized, and more female investors invest in female founders.
Hello, and welcome to Women's Fast Pitch Southwest Edition, our final region before the Women's Venture Summit that's happening in a couple short weeks on September 16th and 17th. My name is Raven O'Neill, and I'm the CEO at Stella. Thank you for taking time out of your afternoon today to help us support our community of female founders. I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to my co-host this evening, Stella's founder and board chair, Dr. Sylvia Ma. Sylvia, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thanks so much, Raven. You've done such a fantastic job over the whole regions of the United States. Our team is rocking it, and it's just such a pleasure and blessing to see everybody today, judges, our team, with the final Women's Fast Pitch.
The last. Well, thank you so much. Next, I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. I'd like to be joined by Karen DeShane, partner at Cooley.
Thanks, Raven.
Absolutely.
Cooley is so pleased to be a returning partner in support of the Women's Venture Summit and the Fast Pitch competition in particular. So congratulations to all of the Fast Pitch companies today, and thanks to the Women's Venture Summit who helped make this happen. For those of you who may not know Cooley, we're a global law firm of approximately 1,500 lawyers across the United States, Europe, and Asia. We're best known for representing leading innovators across industries. We rank #1 for representing companies in VC financing transactions in the US and globally. We're ranked as Startup Emerging Company Law Firm of the Year by The Reporter. We represent more than 40% of the Wall Street Journal's billion-dollar company list, as well as more than half the companies on the NASDAQ Biotech Index. We're familiar with working with seed stage companies, and we're familiar with working with unicorns. After the pitches, I will present an overview of some tips on preparing your company for a successful exit. We are so pleased to support the women founders participating here. Thanks again.
Thank you, Karen. We're excited. And stay, because during judges' deliberation, Karen will come on and be speaking to us. Next, I would like to talk to you about the Impact Seat Foundation, another one of our sponsors. At the Impact Seat Foundation, the goal is to close the wealth and opportunity gap. Their full stack philanthropy melds impact investing, grant making, and advocacy to sustain an ecosystem and community for women leaders across the globe. They've prepared a short video. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Barbara Clark, founder and board chair of the Impact Seat Foundation, a proud sponsor of the 2022 Women's Venture Summit. At the Impact Seat Foundation, we're creating a world in which women, particularly women of color, can succeed as business leaders. I've been attending the Women's Venture Summit since the beginning, and it's great to see how far it's come. We're honored to be part of this event and to have Stella and the entire Women's Venture Summit team as valued members of our ecosystem. As an impact investor with a career spanning over a decade, I've invested over 60 companies and dozens of funds, all of which are led by women. Now I've donated a large percentage of that portfolio to the foundation so that when these investments are successful, which they will be, they'll further fund our mission. I call this model full stack philanthropy. At the foundation, we want to fortify the ecosystem and close the equity and opportunity gap by offering grants, resources, and webinars. If you're here today, then that means you're a highly innovative and talented business leader. The Impact Seat Foundation is here to support you. On the impactseat.org website, you can access our body of rich resources developed to help you achieve your business goals, such as my new book, Build Your Board, Build Your Business. I wrote this book for people like you who need a board of directors but aren't sure when or how to build one. I want to demystify this process for you because I've seen how an effective board of directors is going to be your secret sauce to success. Let's build a new economy together. And now, on with the show.
A huge thank you to the Impact Seat and Cooley for joining us year over year for the Women's Fast Pitch. Also like to thank Rocket Judge, who will be sponsoring our judging and our tech sponsor for the judging. Next, I want to talk to you about Women's Fast Pitch. This event is in its 7th year. It's a virtual competition spanning 5 regions in 5 weeks. The winner advances to our Women's Venture Summit on September 16th and 17th, pitching on day 2, for a chance to win a $10,000 investment in their next round and up to $30K in in-kind services. So a little bit about Stella. You're here. Stella is the company that is presenting the Women's Fast Pitch today. Stella connects women founders and investors to the right resources in the right time. From ideation to funding to exit, women founders and investors look to Stella for its powerful constellation of support made up of an inclusive community, curriculum, access to capital events, and an annual summit, advisory services, and funding opportunities. Now, please stay on till the very, very end for 3 very special announcements. And now I'm going to invite Sylvia to introduce you to the judges.
So every single region, we have wonderful judges that volunteer their time. Some of them actually mentor our entrepreneurs to get pitch ready or to get ready for investor meetings. So first up, want to introduce the first judge, Martina Crane. She is an investment associate at Zeal Capital Partners located in Washington, D.C. She's all the way from D.C. all the way to the Southwest. So thank you for being here with us. Martina is passionate about the intersection of breakthrough technologies and solving social problems. Outside of work, she enjoys volunteering with Achilles International as a guide for disabled athletes, kayaking, and learning new recipes. So thank you, Martina, for spending some time with us today and being a judge. Next up is Carrie Fair. She's the sole proprietor of Stated, a marketing consulting firm partnering with small and medium-sized brands as the fractional CMO to create smarter, insightful, and compelling outreach at every stage of the funnel and on any budget. Wow, everybody needs something like that. Inspired by two entrepreneurial parents, backed by a degree in economics, an MBA, and Fortune 20 experience, and governed by efficiency and efficacy, Carrie brings pep, strategy, and clarity to the myriad of marketing options. Thank you for being here, Carrie, again, year after year. So great to see you again. Next up is Tiffany Robinson. She is a general partner at the Jump Fund, also CEO of Lamp Post Properties, a small real estate company with big plans for Chattanooga's Innovation District and beyond. It sounds like Buzz Lightyear. I love it. Innovation and Buzz Lightyear. Who can go wrong? So Tiffany founded Way Paver, the talent innovation lab focusing on recruiting and retaining millennial talent in Chattanooga. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for being part of today. Next up, the last judge to introduce is Roxette Miranda, based out of Miami as a South Florida ecosystem leader. Woohoo! Director of the Florida Chamber of Founder Institute, a pre-seed global tech accelerator. Managing director of the Lab Miami, an incubation space in the heart of the Wynwood Arts District. If anybody has been in Wynwood Arts District, it's fabulous. I need to go visit her. She's a tech community builder and co-founder of Pitch Night MIA, which is Miami, a monthly networking pitch competition that showcases startups. So as we go into the Meet the Founders video, I just wanted to have an announcement that our last finalist, Givespace, has chosen not to pitch today. We thank them so much for their participation and wish them success as they continue their journey. Best of luck to our other finalists. So on to the wonderful video to let you know all about our finalists. Awesome. I always love seeing those videos because I get to know a little bit more about the wonderful pitching ladies. So the pitching process continues like this. They have 30 minutes. No, wait a minute. 3 minutes to pitch their startup, and they are prepared. They are ready to go. Then they go into 5 minutes of Q&A by 4 judges. The judges are prepared by the wonderful leadership team at Stella to have wonderful questions. 2 judges are assigned to 1 startup, and the questions are always supportive, clarifying, or promotion focused. So really about growth and scalability and asking those great questions so that those founders thrive in this wonderful platform that we have for them. Judging rubric consists of 4 criteria: business model, product market fit, execution and team, and presentation. So judges have a hard time to be able to pick the winner for today, and on to the pitching founders right now. Super exciting. So pitch number 1 is Mia Umanos of Clickvoyant. And I think she's on, so just want to make sure I go back.
I am. I'm right here.
Wonderful.
Hello.
Wonderful. I can see you, I can hear you, and then you can share your screen and you're ready to go.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Screen shared.
I can see it. You're off.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, everybody. I'm Mia. I'm the CEO of Clickvoyant, and I was a director of analytics at the big 5 marketing agencies, running insights for companies like Apple and Nissan and Mattel. And in that 15-year career, we went from about 100 to 10,000 technologies that house customer data. And most of that data is wasted because it takes an analyst like me to mine that data for insights. And there aren't enough of us. Right now, there's a $200 billion gap in the analytics talent market, making that role expensive and competitive to hire. And it's only getting worse. The demand for data analysts has been increasing even as the demand for engineers decline. And in the post-pandemic recovery period, businesses can expect to pay up to 10% more in analyst salary. The result is that only the richest companies can afford analysts. Everybody else gets boxed out. So Clickvoyant is an AI analyst as a service that delivers advanced analytics to that boxed out company. Our users just connect their raw data, and all the statistical modeling is done in our platform. So in about 10 minutes, she delivers slide presentations of revenue generating insights. There is no code and no analyst required. Most common feedback on Clickvoyant is that we find insights in places that no human ever thought to look. Now, our tech has been used to present to digital marketing insights to varied brands, large and small, which is a great indicator of Clickvoyant's fitness to scale into many different verticals. And our goal is to make it stupid affordable to adopt a sophisticated analytics program. Compared to an average minimum salary of $10,000 a month, Clickvoyant's base price is $250 a month. And we identified our ideal customer profile 3 quarters ago, and we've been hitting steady revenue growth since then. Today, we're at 20K monthly recurring revenue with just our MVP product. We're going after the 200 million in growing businesses with either e-commerce or advertising spend, which is all of them. And at 3,000 customers, Clickvoyant will scale to 100 million in annual revenue. We're killing it because there's nothing like what we do in the analytics marketplace. Most software is a dashboard or data management tool for that rare analyst. Clickvoyant is the analyst. And our insights have been making it rain for decades at some of the biggest agencies in the world. And we have a rockstar advisory board. So Brett invented Google Analytics. Mike builds global data partnerships for Trey, and Greg is the CFO of the largest Google Analytics consulting firm. So we're raising $1 million, for which there is an SPV currently promoted by Stella Angels, and only half remains. So I encourage you to reach out to Stella ASAP. So I hope this gets you as jazzed as I am, and I'm happy to take any questions now.
Wonderful, wonderful job, Mia. I've seen you in live, and now I've seen you virtually pitch. So well done. Your question and answer will be led by Roxette and Martina. Let's see.
Hi, Mia.
Perfect.
Hi, Martina.
Great presentation. I also love how colorful the slides are. I have a couple of questions for you. One of them is based around the product. So I know you said that there's revenue generating insights and insights that you're finding that no human is looking for. Could you talk a little bit more about sort of what those are and how the product comes to making them?
Yeah, absolutely. Our product is ingesting data from Google Analytics, Shopify, and HubSpot, which are they have a pretty good market share. And what it does is take bits of these data to do some customer research. For example, what cities are converting better than others, what pages or properties say, like if you're a lead generation site or doing something like a long sales cycle like a mortgage. You're doing all these other things that are webinars, white paper downloads, mortgage calculators, things like that to try to attract a customer into your conversion. And that data is what Clickvoyant reads to say, does any of this mean a hill of beans in terms of actually converting that customer? If yes, then we show all of the activity. So like if you imagine in just a small example of say the mortgage company or even childcare, for example, there's so much data across Facebook, HubSpot, Shopify. A lot of these data is silos. So what Clickvoyant is doing is actually taking a wide look at all of the data rather than what's normally happening is some executive says, I have a hunch about this, this, and this. Let's look at these main things. It's not humanly possible to look at everything. So when Clickvoyant looks at all of the data to mark an X on the ground for where the revenue is, that helps the humans focus their attention on what matters versus just say opening up dashboards every month.
That's really interesting. And looking at everything is always impossible for a human. So great application of that. And then my one other question for you is, can you speak a little bit more to your market entry point? You said you found the perfect sort of product market fit. Who is that customer? And then how do you scale beyond them?
Sure. So right now, our beachhead strategy is digital marketing agencies. I mentioned that I was a director of analytics at some of the big five, so that's Omnicom, JWT. When we first started out, we were actually focused on them as our primary customers and quickly learned that their billable hours, their time and materials, so they actually have no benefit in their business model to do things faster, and discovered quickly that digital marketing agencies that are smaller than the big five, who have a little bit more flexibility in how they charge their clients, they are really lacking in analytics resources. And so they're able to benefit from our product. So they close within 6 to 8 weeks, which is helping us grow our revenue and make up the majority of our current MRR. But what we find, through them, you see the brands that we work on, everything from Sprite down to a regional bank. We're discovering other ways that we can benefit directly to the B2B. And that is our North Star, is to get into that 200 million small-ish enterprises. And when I say that, we have a client that's $500 million annual revenue. Like some companies that big still cannot afford an analyst. They can't compete in that market. So that's really who we're going for after the beachhead strategy.
Thank you so much. And I'll kick it over to Roxette.
Thank you. Great job. I have a question. What are your competitive advantages or kind of like the secret sauce? I know you were talking a little bit about that, but what sets you apart from your competitors? And if there is any, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Clickvoyant has a primary goal of fixing this main problem in the analytics industry in general, and that is communication and education. So, right now, all of the software in the space, like I said, they deliver these dashboards. And so, even if you don't have 10,000 dashboards, you maybe have 6 or 7. And that distillation of that data into insight is usually happening, we call that the last mile analytics, is done by the human. So there are no products currently trying to do that last mile analytics delivery, which is the communication vehicle. Right now, we're delivering these slide presentations. But we have the special sauce is our API. So our real future in Clickvoyant is the middleware. So we can ingest the data into our middleware, and then we can output to the slides just doing today, but we can also output to Alexa or to any SMS text. So therefore expanding what Clickvoyant can be, not just a platform, but also a communication vehicle for business decision makers.
We are out of time. If you have one quick question, that's fine, but we are out of time. Good? Well, good job, Mia. Thank you so much for being our first of the Southwest region. You did a fantastic job in your pitch and your Q&A. Well done.
Thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
Yes. So as we transition to pitch number 2, I want to remind the audience that right below us, as you're watching on YouTube, you can like and subscribe to our YouTube channel below, please, please, please. And while you're there, just click that little like bell there so that you can get notifications whenever we go live or whenever we have a new video. It's about growing this community, making sure that we're making connections, and these founders need your support. So in that chat feature, also say, hey, good job. What about this? What about that? And if you are an investor, reach out to us. So, but first of all, like and subscribe below. And I think we have, oh yes, we do have the next one ready to go. So pitch number 2 of the Southwest is Vicky Pasche of Dapper Boy.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Vicky Pasche. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Dapper Boy. We're a genderless, everyday online clothing line made to fit a variety of body types and sizes. So I'd like for you to all picture the current shopping experience. You walk into a department store and you have 2 choices, the men's section and the women's section, which are embedded with societal rules and norms based on your gender. Men's clothing is not made to fit the curves of a woman's body or any body with curves for that matter. Women's clothing is typically very form-fitting and sometimes revealing. I'm also a plus-size person, which limits me even further. My wife and I realize more than ever that we are living in a binary world, even when it comes to fit and style. So our first solution, jeans. With a unique fit, our genderless jeans are made for curves with a wide range of body types. They offer stretch and comfort, as well as function. They offer deep pockets, which is unheard of in women's clothing for whatever reason. Our coin pocket can even fit a large smartphone. We offer a large size range from 26 to 52, which is unheard of from any mainstream retail store. This is one of our most popular products right here is our button-up shirts. They're designed not to be form-fitting, but made for curves. We also added hidden snaps behind the button placket to prevent the dreaded chest gap that may occur when wearing typical women's and men's button-up shirts. Throughout the last 7 years, we've learned so much and realized that we offer so much more than great fitting clothes. We offer confidence and a safe place for people to shop and showcase their authentic selves. My wife, myself, and 2 part-time employees have bootstrapped our brand for the last 7+ years now. We've generated over $4 million in lifetime sales. And with over 30,000 customers and a 51% repeat customer rate, we believe there's no better time than right now for a mission-driven brand like Dapper Boy. Did you all know that over 50% of Gen Z shops outside of their gender? We've only scratched the surface with where Dapper Boy can grow, not only within our own LGBTQ+ community, but within other markets, including Gen Z, plus-size communities, and the overall jeans market. Our positive reviews are endless, and we have people tell us all the time that Dapper Boy has changed their lives, their confidence, their self-worth, that they finally have a place to fit into, literally and metaphorically. So we're looking to raise $2 million, which will allow us to purchase inventory in advance, eliminating our pre-order business model wait times, and significantly improve the customer experience. With larger orders, we'll be able to retain better pricing, which will also increase retail margins and allow us to invest in an aggressive marketing plan. The ultimate goal for Dapper Boy here is to provide a genderless fashion experience for all body types. Imagine an online department store that matches the in-person experience, utilizing AI and VR technology in the future, one based on body type and style, not on gender. So it's time to look beyond social binary norms. Join us in being part of a revolutionary solution that will build confidence within us all. After all, isn't it about time that we all fit in? Thank you.
I'm trying to get my video going. I was like, click, click, click. You did such a great job, Vicky. Well
Thank
done.
you.
Wonderful pitch. Your Q&A will be led by Martina and Tiffany.
Awesome.
Okay, Tiffany.
Great job, Vicky. I love what you're doing and the world-changing work that you're doing. So this is very exciting. I personally love to shop. So, and on that note, I'd love to learn more about the platform that you're using to sell your clothing. It looks like you've got an online store, but how else are you getting the product out there into people's hands?
Yeah, right now it's just a Shopify store. So everything is funneling through that right now.
Okay, great. I also wondered, do you have plans to expand beyond jeans, or do you envision the brand to be solely focused on jeans?
Yeah, I think jeans is really one of our, bread and butter products along with our button-up shirts, but really beyond that, it's every day. We even have swimwear that is a crazy selling product for us in the summertime, shorts. It's really, those two main products are going to be in constant rotation, but we're really going to be bringing in those everyday seasonal products like we do now, just at a larger scale as we grow.
Awesome. And my final question is, tell me more about your competitors. Who in the market is doing what you're doing or attempting to do what you're doing?
Yeah, what's interesting with that is a lot of us are even friends. We meet on a regular basis, and because we believe that if one of us is successful, then we all are. I would say, brands like Kieran Finch, Hot Butch, even Tomboy X in their own right. And Tomboy X actually raised quite a bit of money. It was 18 million in 2019. And they do gender neutral underwear, having a line, Pride line here this last June here in Target, which is a big deal. And it's exciting, for brands like us coming in this space. I really believe now is just the best time for us with a mission-driven brand and non-binary fashion.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, an amazing job. I was just out trying to find anything that would fit me appropriately this past weekend. No two sizes are actually the same, even if
Right.
definitely a big problem we're solving. So a couple of questions to follow up here. Can you talk a little bit about sort of your manufacturing process and how you guys are planning to scale and what those partners' availability is looking like over the near term?
Yeah, sure. So right now we're manufacturing all over the world. We have small productions, even in Los Angeles, but mostly China, Vietnam, Bangladesh, and Colombia. And we've been managing those all on our own right now, which is pretty wild with the results we've been able to produce. But with that being said, we are obviously fundraising here, and we've already have partnerships that are potentially in the works that could be a game changer for us completely, that will manage the process more efficiently than we can, utilizing facilities that can get product here much faster and at better costs.
Amazing. And then I know we talked kind of a little bit about how you're in Shopify for now. At scale, 5 years from now, what do your distribution channels look like? Are you purely D2C? Do you think you're going to start looking for retail partners? What is that? Are you going to mortar locations?
Right. It's an interesting question. And I think it could go a couple different ways here. My vision from the beginning was to stay D2C actually, and really creating this genderless experience online. And we've already started having conversations with a company that does some pretty awesome 3D modeling with their jeans. And so we're working on doing a collaboration to see how that all goes. Mainstream right now, I don't know if they're ready for us right now. Like really thinking about it, where would a brand like Dapper Boy go in a store today? So I'm open to it, of course. I think we could be more efficient and cost effective online if we do it right as we scale. But of course, I'm open to those conversations with retailers as well.
Thank you. And sorry for Alexa chiming in there.
Alexa, what you got?
No, that makes a lot of sense. I think we're close to time.
Yeah. We have maybe one more question. We have about 30 more seconds. So if Tiffany, you had another question, but I think you're good. Right? Okay, good. Nobody's going off of mute. So I'm like,
actually, I'm sorry. Do you have, if it's okay, tell us more about your team.
Yeah, it's my wife, myself, and we have 2 part-time employees right now kind of running the show. So we're excited to get our hands on some real capital to be able to explode. We're a small team, but we're super passionate. We've done every job from the ground up, and we're ready to scale.
Wonderful answer. Thank you so much, Vicki, for being part of today. You did a great job on your pitch and great question answer. Thank you, Martina. Thank you, Tiffany, for the questions. as we're transitioning to pitch number 3, we have just a little bit of a shout out to Rocket Judge. Rocket Judge is a flexible judging platform that lets you make your competitions and evaluations more exciting, dynamic, and stress-free. I know it has for us. That's why they are our sponsor here for the competition. And as you're working with Rocket Judge, it's as easy as adding your judges, competitors, and rubric, and watch the scores roll in. And try a free demo at www.rocketjudge.com today. You will not be let down on that. It's a wonderful, wonderful platform. So off to pitch number 3, Tina. Yes, she is ready. Awesome. So the next pitch number 3 of the Southwest, is Tina Saw of Oral Genome.
Perfect. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can hear you and hear your screen. And sorry, hear you and see your screen.
Okay, no problem. Okay. Hi, my name is Dr. Tina Saw, and Oral Genome is a digital technology we are building to help patients and dentists analyze their saliva, assist in early detection and diagnosis of dental diseases, and come up with a personalized at-home prevention plan. Oral diseases don't discriminate. In fact, 75% of Americans suffer from gum disease and don't know it, and 90% of Americans have had at least one cavity in their life. 3.5 billion people suffer from oral diseases worldwide, and there is a 43% increase to annual dental costs if there is no good preventive dental care. X-rays and exams are not enough. Currently, there is no objective and non-invasive early detection methods in dentistry. However, blood testing is routine in medicine to help with early detection and prevention. Dentists have been forced to react versus prevent, as X-rays only show the history of destruction when it is too late. There is also a lack of data-driven tools in diagnosis and treatment, leading to variations in treatment plans, second opinions, and reduced case acceptance. Dentists and their patients need predictive prevention on demand. Our mouth and saliva give off signals every day about our dental health, but there's currently no way to detect these clues and support dental diagnosis and treatment. And that is why we have created Oral Genome, a convenient and quick saliva test with results and recommendations that people can easily understand. We are a non-invasive salivary test that just requires spit. We provide personalized recommendations and real advice that people can easily implement for a healthy smile for life. We deliver results in less than 2 minutes and are an analytical tool that utilizes computer vision to drive data-driven oral health insights. How it works is simple. We provide patients with a test card, which they then pipette their saliva onto each of the drop zones and take a photo of it in our app to get results instantaneously. We have 3 sets of customers. The main set we are focusing on are dental professionals. In summary, we are the only ones with a comprehensive oral wellness panel with quick results, data-driven oral health insights, computer vision techniques, low cost of goods of $5, and have curated products based on each patient's results. We have multiple revenue streams in the pipeline, including B2B test kits, curated products, and eventually B2C patient test kit sales. Our founders include Dr. Liu and I. I'm a 3-time healthcare startup founder with over 15 years in the dental industry. Our board advisors ground us and have been integral in our growth. They include Dr. Kim Cush, Lee Ellemeyer, Deborah Liu, and Dr. Sylvia Ma. We're raising $1.5 million to go fast, and we at Oral Genome are detecting dental cavities and periodontal disease early on, and we can even detect these oral diseases before someone walks through the door. We at our Oral Genome are making oral health simple, and we would love for you to be part of this game-changing digital technology that will positively impact the world. Yep, that's it.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to get off of mute. So really well done, Tina. Thank you so much. Wonderful pitch. Your Q&A will be led by Carrie and Roxette.
Okay, perfect.
I love it. That's a great pitch. One of the things that I wanted to ask is, how are you going to get your first, your bulk of B2B customers? What's your go-to-market strategy there?
Yeah, so we are actually targeting dental service organizations. They are group practices because they already are streamlined and it's one big system. We actually currently have a letter of intent from a very large dental manufacturer, and we are also starting to negotiate and work with other ones to be able to get to market pretty quick.
And I guess the other question is the 1.5 million. What's that going to go towards to, and how are you going to spend that?
Yeah, so we are looking to scale our team with the 1.5 million And we also are going to do a huge marketing push. We know that our break-even point is selling 30,000 kits, and then by then we will be revenue positive within the first year. So a lot of it is a heavy marketing push and also the team to be able to support that.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Tina. I'm going to let the other judge ask some questions.
Sure, I'll jump in here. Dr. Tina, your name actually came up this weekend at a party when someone was looking for a dentist. So,
oh my gosh, that's funny.
It's a small world, but I love this. And I think with, COVID and people getting used to doing tests at home and everything, you're such great positioning for it. And my ears perked when you were talking about marketing just now, because you look at something like Everywell and others who've got huge spends. Now, obviously, you guys are looking for some investment, but it won't, probably peak TV advertising. What's the plan to get, more of that out?
Yeah, absolutely. I know that Everly Health and other direct-to-consumer testing companies are, it can be pretty more costly to be able to do those marketing spends, especially direct-to-consumer. So we're really doing a heavier push on the B2B side. It's going to be less expensive. And we also know at which areas, and because I've been in the dental industry and I've had a previous B2B business, I know exactly where our dollar spend to be most effective for that amount.
That makes sense, in getting, I guess, some of the credibility too from them, right? So, and what makes it, now, like why move, in 2022 versus, waiting a little bit, or what makes the market so ripe?
Well, I think as you had actually stated, at home testing and being, we aren't necessarily at home, but consumers right now want to know more about themselves. Like I think after being in COVID-19 has really shown a lot of how oral diseases has to do so much with your systemic health. And so now is the time, especially with the COVID tests that have been out, like the technology we're using is something that's very, very similar. And so people are very familiar with it. I think that saliva and spit was really just seen as just spit, but now people are understanding there's a lot of information we can derive from it.
That's great. And being a dentist, being able to provide the education, I imagine that's going to be a big portion of it. And just being able to, use your marketing budget to be able to get that kind of the word and the statistics and everything out about it.
Yes, absolutely.
Roxette, did you have another question?
Do we have enough time for another question?
It looks like we do.
Yes, we do. Go ahead.
Awesome. I guess I want to ask a question about your total addressable market. Once you pass that phase 1 into phase 2, what does the business model look like for that?
Yeah, so there's 132 million people that in the United States who go see a dentist. 25% of them go to DSOs or group practices. Even if we conservatively get even 50% of that 25%, we are looking at, I believe, like a $227 million in revenue just on test kits alone. And that's not including the curated products that we are looking to launch.
I guess one last question, because it is a lot of things that you're sending. How are you guys keeping up with the SDG models with the oral testing?
I'm sorry, you have to, SDG stands for
Sustainable Development Goal.
Yeah, sorry.
Sustainable development. Okay. Sorry, I'm not really understanding, but I guess I could just say to you, part of our mission is to actually, we do have a global impact portion of our company where we are looking to launch, and we are in discussion with a global impact program right now, because there is oral diseases affect so many people, 3.5 billion people worldwide. It is actually a really huge healthcare burden in our society. Even insurance studies show that if we're able to treat periodontal disease early on, we're actually able to reduce the health burden by, even with insurance, $357 per member per year. But we are looking to work with a couple of organizations to be able to send our test cards and work with different groups to be able to increase oral health literacy around the world.
That's great. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks so much. You did such a great job on your
Thank you.
pitch and the question and answer. Thank you to the judges. Wonderful questions to really clarify all the things that we needed to clarify, and you did just a great job. Up next, as we're switching out to pitches, is I wanted to remind the audience that please follow us on social media. We are Stella Co. on Instagram, and we are WVS Women's Venture Summit, and also I want to see you there, and also on LinkedIn. So follow us, make sure that you're connecting with us, engage with us, ask questions. We love to DM people, so if you do have a question or comment, please always we're so inclusive, so collaborative, so open. So follow us on social media, and we would love to hear more about what you're doing. So up next, hi Theresa, good. Just want to make sure. So the last pitch of the evening today is Theresa Clark of Lady Suite.
Thank you for having me. I'm going to share my screen.
Yep, I can hear you perfectly well.
Great.
And I can see your screen.
Okay, one sec. Okay. Okay. It's hiding the little button. 1 second.
No problem.
Here we go.
Okay, you're on.
Thank you. I'm Theresa Clark, and I'm founder and CEO of Lady Suite. We make plant-based products that solve intimate skin conditions to support your daily comfort and your sexual confidence. And I'm not afraid to talk about it. It all started in my 20s with severely irritated intimate skin from a thyroid problem made worse by medication and grooming. From the doctor to the drugstore aisle, I found zero relief. It put me in major fear mode. And I thought I was alone, but I wasn't. 80% of women experience conditions on the vulva and inside the vagina that impact physical and emotional health, from hormonal changes, stress, aging. And what's worse, it's not really talked about, not even at the doctor's office. The solution is Lady Suite. We're a mission-driven brand creating the next generation of science-based intimate care that's not only approachable, it's community-driven. As an experienced skincare product developer, I work with top biochemists, microbiologists, and dermatologists to create probiotic-based skincare solutions that can better solve problems like itch and odor, ingrowns, bumps, discomfort during intimacy, and dryness and friction. Our top-selling SKU is a kit made of our top 3 items for $86. Compared to when I first launched in 2018, the feminine wellness market is now booming, but still lacks real solutions. There are more products now, but not enough brands with the expertise, education, and authentic connections so needed for this category, not to mention formulas still using endocrine disrupting chemicals. Our omnichannel business revolves around our community and meets our customer where she's at, online, independent retailers, as well as physician offices that use our products elevate results. We've bootstrapped our way to over 1.5 million since launch, and in 2021, we more than doubled year over year and are tracking to 750K on 3 SKUs by the end of the year. We're a team of industry experts supported by top scientific and retail advisors. As CEO, I have 20+ years of industry experience and co-founded the first medically validated probiotic skincare line. Our co-founder is Cassandra Costello, who brings 12 successful years at operations and marketing execution. We're raising a seed round of 1.5 million, which will help amplify R&D, team support, and scaling efforts to achieve our revenue goal of 2.4 million in 2023. So please join our Volvolution. We've helped thousands of women and can help millions more with your support. Thank you.
Well done on your pitch. Wonderful to see all the wonderful traction that you've had. Your Q&A will be led by Carrie and Tiffany.
Thank you.
Great job, Therese. I personally am very interested in your products because I have realized that these problems are very real for us women. So thank you for solving an important problem. I was curious if you could tell me more about what the product adoption has been like so far. Have you ran into any product challenges or adoption challenges along the way?
I think for the most part, we launched in 2018. I would consider ourselves like an OG of the modern movement. And I think it was just terminology. What are you? Because we were sort of skincare for down there, and people didn't necessarily make that connection until I would say like a year later. But I think the catch-all term has just been vagina for so long, which has created a lot of actual misuse. And that's something that we've tried to curb as well.
Great. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then tell me more about your plan to scale. Tell me more about your go-to-market strategy for scaling.
Sure. So, what we're doing is working. So we've been at this, we've been bootstrapping. And I think what our strength is the organic connection that we've had to our community. Now with Facebook and changing algorithms, which I will admit affected us, we still have this viable community that we could reach through email, through educational platforms. SMS works really well for us and has increased our retention. So we want to essentially, turn on some more levers on the digital side without giving the farm away, that are just a little bit more creative and more interesting to our community, as well as, a healthy mix of paid advertising. We also want to partner with the right retailer. We've been approached by some prestige retailers, but just being in this industry as long as I have, I just feel like in order to best support that scaling, we do need funding, and we need to be able to scale with the right amount of inventory as well as team support.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
I love it. Looks incredible. I mean, I'm always done to branding, but it's beautifully done. So well done. And I saw on your Instagram too, you've got, I think, like 33,000 followers. So that will be great if, as you can said, beat the algorithm and keep them. Question. So, I mean, it seems genius. Why haven't other people done this? And do you have any barriers to entry, any IP?
Yeah, I think other people are doing this. I think there's low barrier to entry these days. And I think that's a little bit of a problem. One, because of sustainability, but also because it lacks expertise. Being a product developer was, I was trained at 23. I could go into a lab with like a marketing hat and just tell the chemist what to do with like really no idea. I just wanted vitamin C in it. But it wasn't until I had my health issue where I've been lucky. I've been mentored by a very renowned biochemist who took me under his wing. And he basically sat me down and he said, if you want to do this, you need to smarten up. And he was really attuned to the microbiome. We were doing DNA microarray research, early days. So I could see what one ingredient could do to a gene at a cellular level. So we have that kind of expertise on board. So that's one of the things we really are emphasizing is formula first. I think as other brands come into the game, maybe they're better marketers. They have more marketing money. So that's something I'm cognizant of, is the reach that they can get out the gate. And that's just something that we know we need. We know when we get a customer, we can retain them. We have a strong repeat customer rate. We know that if they buy, let's say, our probiotic cleanser, which is not meant to like make the skin squeaky clean, it's supposed to increase your ability to protect yourself against unwanted bacteria, they're going to buy 2 or 3 at a time next time, or they're going to buy our oil next time. So it's really, a testament to our community and being very vocal on what they want and what they expect.
I love that. And that kind of retention is incredible. But I guess if you solve their problems with your product line, what are you going to offer next? Is there plans to upsell, cross-sell, and what's the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the science that we're working on is going to take us more internal into the vagina to be able to better solve problems like infections. The mainstay sort of solve, I guess, for like a yeast infection is boric acid, which I would tell you it's toxic. We're working on some clean lipopeptide technologies that are being studied right now. That would be a patent pending technology that would be exclusive to Lady Sweet because of these relationships. So we're very involved in the scientific community, but our brand doesn't necessarily look like that.
No, but I mean, that's a nice thing. And I mean, if you have the peer research and the data behind it, I mean, that's incredible. So I think the nutraceutical industry is probably very challenging, right? So do you have anyone obviously your team is well versed and you are, is there anything you're missing on your team to be able to make all this happen?
I think where we need more support is just on the operations side. I just brought in an amazing co-founder, which was a big decision for me. Her name is Cassandra. She actually is the CEO of a very successful agency. And she's just, I don't know how to explain it. She's just this genius at scaling. And so she's like helping us fill those holes right now by plugging into her team, but that's a temporary fix. And so we just need to fill some of the holes to be able to better scale.
Sounds smart. Well, congrats on taking on a co-founder too.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Perfect. We have run out of, I'm trying to get my video. Yes, I'm up. We have run out of time. You did a great job on your pitch, Therese, and also Q&A was fantastic. So well done. We are done with the Southwest. Congratulations. Thank you for closing us out, Therese. And that concludes the Southwest. That concludes actually our whole tour around the United States at Stella. So we're really excited to be able to bring that to you. And I wanted to make sure that we have, here we go, what's coming up next. The transition right now is that the judges will deliberate and pick a winner. They've actually used Rocket Judge. They've been able to put in their votes, and we're going to be talking about it. I want to remind the judges before we kind of go into our room is that you need to put your screens on for right now and then join the room, because if you do it, then we can't see you. So that's just like a little insight for the judges. Audience, now it's your time to vote. We are very excited about always bringing audience choice to these competitions, because it's super important for our founders to know that they are, celebrated, and what they did was amazing. So see the link in the chat box down below, or visit Slido, SLIDO.com, and put in the number 54672. So hashtag 54672, and that's Slido.com to do your audience choice. We want to hear from you. So come on in and make sure that we hear your voice and hear what you think. So up next is a special talk from Karen Duchesne, partner at Cooley. Her practice encompasses a wide range of business and corporate matters, including private financing, public offerings, corporate governance, commercial transactions, strategic transactions, securities matters, and the general representation of public and private companies. And Karen has been just a huge supporter of Stella. I cannot thank her enough. She brought in multiple partners across the United States to come to us every Tuesday for the last couple of weeks to really bring wonderful advice, education to you as an audience. So we are so excited. I'm sad that I'm going to miss it, Karen, your talk, but she wraps up Cooley's special presentation every single week with M&A and exit considerations. So Karen, you're up next. Super excited to hear from you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Hi, everybody. I'm going to share my screen. All right, thanks for having me. Thanks for having Cooley. I am going to talk about preparing your company for a successful exit. I expect that most of you on the that are watching us today are founders of high growth companies, and your ultimate objective is for an exit. And so that's who this is targeted to. If you have a company that you plan to own and operate for the long haul, then maybe you will take less of this today. But my hope for you, all of you, is that you sell your company someday for billions or millions of dollars. This is real quick on Cooley. At the beginning of the program, I talked a little bit about Cooley. The one thing that I really want to highlight is our website called Cooley Go. It's cooleygo.com. It is a resource for founders and growth investors. It is a free resource that Cooley provides to the community. It is jam-packed with white papers on all sorts of topics of particular interest to founders and growth investors. And it also has Cooley blessed forms for startup companies. So think of things like form consulting agreements, forms of non-disclosure agreements, and even term sheets and documents for early stage financing. So if you haven't heard about it, if you haven't gone to it and you are a founder, go check it out. You won't regret it. I'm going to talk about the transaction process for selling your company and some tactics for a successful transaction. I'm going to spend the most time on this slide because I suspect that where you are at is you are not probably in current negotiations for selling your company, although hopefully you are, and if you are, good luck. But I am going to talk about these things about being prepared. Once you have an interested buyer in your company, you can get ahead and facilitate a smooth transaction by doing the following things. And the ones in red are like my favorite pet peeves. So first, clean the house. Ask your outside counsel and your accounting teams to identify record-keeping matters. When your company is going to be acquired, the buyer is going to do a bunch of what is called diligence on your company. They are going to review your customer agreements. They're going to review your corporate documents. They're going to review your capitalization table. They're going to want to look at just about everything. And so get prepared for that. Make sure you have everything documented. And that is going to be a theme that you're going to hear me talk about throughout this. I'm a lawyer. I can't help it. I sort of love documents. But anyway, clean your house is the first piece of advice. Next, consider whether you need to have a formal audit. This is going to depend a great deal about how sophisticated the buyer is and how big the transaction is. Again, I'm hoping that you sell your company for billions of dollars. If that's the case, you're going to need an audit. If you're doing a smaller transaction, you may not. Again, the third point is about due diligence. So getting everything organized. There is something usually called a data room, which is where you put all of your documents and then you share them with the other side and with their lawyers. Understanding who needs to sign off on this. So you might have material contracts in place today that don't let you transfer them to an acquirer. This is actually relatively common. Most often you can get around that by getting the other party's consent or maybe just providing them notice. But starting to get an understanding of who you need to ask to sell your company would be a good idea. And I'll tell you, you certainly need to ask your board of directors and your stockholders. If that's you, if it's just you, then you have those consents wrapped up. If that involves other people, you will need to start to think about making sure those people are on the same page as you with respect to the acquisition. Intellectual property. Many of the companies that I think are participating today are companies for which technology plays a core role in your business. If that's the case, then confirm that you either have the rights through licenses or some other agreement to use all of the IP that you use in your business. A part of this is making sure that all of your employees and your contractors and anybody else who had their hands in developing your technology, making sure that they have appropriately assigned that technology to the company. The A team. So this is getting the right team in place, including outside advisors like lawyers like me, accountants, financial advisors, and consider your expectations for the continued roles that your employees will make in the potential deal and then in the company afterwards. It's a good idea to get your head around that now. Equity, this is your cap table. Make sure that every single stock issuance and every equity grant has been authorized properly and documented properly. Buyers care a lot about this. So buyers care a lot about the equity in the company because they need to make sure that they buy the company from its rightful owners. They also care a lot about the technology of the company. They're likely buying the technology primarily, although they may be buying you in what we would call an acqui-hire, but they're going to care a lot about who the owners are and what they're buying. And in many of your companies, that comes down to your cap table and your intellectual property. Finally, if your business is in a highly regulated area, make sure that you understand compliance. This may be things like import-export compliance if you are either bringing goods in or out of the country. It may be a variety of government permit and licensing agencies that you have to deal with. It's probably data security. I suspect that most of you are required to comply with data security regulations, no matter what jurisdiction you're in. And then whether or not the people that you have that are working for you are appropriately categorized as employees or consultants. You can talk to your outside counsel about all of these things, but that's my last sort of like key tip for being prepared. This is what the acquisition transaction process looks like. In phase one, you're talking about the price. That's probably the key consideration for you. Another key consideration may be continuing employment for you or others. In phase two, you're negotiating a term sheet. In phase three, the final agreement. In phase four, there is most often a period between signing and closing. This is where you get the consents that I alluded to earlier. You may also need to get the government to sign off or to not weigh in on the transaction. And then post-closing is around things that may outlast the agreement. There may be things in your acquisition agreement that like outlive the closing. In other words, if it turns out that the business wasn't what you said, or if you didn't get all of the consents, there may be some continuing obligations or liabilities. In phase one, it's preparation. Engage your counsel, engage other third-party advisors, start populating the data room that I mentioned, and then establish a protocol within your company for who's going to be the points of contact for what. Who is dealing with the buyer? Who is dealing with your employees? Are you only going to mention that this transaction is a potential possibility to a subset of employees and you need to set up some internal walls around communication, et cetera? Having an established hierarchy and having key point people for different aspects of the transaction are going to help mitigate deal fatigue. Of your folks, you're probably still running your business, and this is going to be a burden on your people. If people have delineated tasks, it helps with people seeing it through to the end. Phase 2 and 3 is the pre-signing and signing. I've highlighted a couple things on this slide. First off, before you share confidential information with any potential buyer, you should have them sign a confidentiality agreement. This is particularly important for a competitor company that is the potential acquirer. But I also don't want to suggest that paper solves everything. If the potential acquirer is a competitor company, you should be particularly sensitive about what information you share before you have signed a definitive agreement or a binding term sheet. The second thing that I've highlighted here is the term sheet, or what sometimes is called a letter of intent in the acquisition context. This is where you hash out the principal deal terms. It is most efficient to do this in the term sheet stage because it will talk about things like the price. It will talk about things like who the continuing employees are for which the transaction is conditioned. It will talk about other key terms, and it's most efficient to sort this out in a term sheet rather than an acquisition agreement. Believe it or not, acquisition agreements vary between 10 pages and hundreds of pages. And so it is best to get the key business points negotiated in the term sheet or letter of intent. That term sheet or letter of intent will very frequently either contain itself or reference an exclusivity agreement. Sometimes this is called a no-shop. This is a period of time for which you agree not to talk to other people about buying your company. The potential buyer is going to put a lot of resources towards this acquisition. They're going to engage lawyers. They're probably going to engage financial consultants and other specialists. They're going to take people out of their day jobs at their company to do diligence on your company. And in return for that, they get some exclusivity. It's generally 30 or 60 days, 30 to 60 days. I would say sometimes even 90. I would say most frequently we see it around 45. I don't know why it's landed at 45, but that's where generally it is. And then during this period, the buyer will do diligence on your company that I've mentioned a couple times. You'll negotiate the definitive agreement and you'll sign it. Phase 4 is the period between when you sign and when you close. You are probably using this time to get the consents that you need. And then there may be government filings. I'm not going to talk about this in too much detail, but transactions of a certain size require approval by the government, or at least a waiting period to have passed during which the government could decide to examine the transaction. During this time, you'll also negotiate any post-closing documentation. You will go out and get your shareholder approval. And then, like I said, you'll probably use this time to seek third-party consents. Sometimes you can get away with closing a transaction without having all of the consents, but more often than not, the buyer is going to want to make sure that all of your key, or sometimes called material agreements, are in fact going to transfer to them. And so you may need to get these between signing and closing. You don't want to get them before signing. So you want to sign a definitive agreement, have the buyer obligated to buy your company before you go out to, for example, your key customers and let them know you're being acquired. You don't want to give your customers that leverage that they may perceive if they were to be asked before, nor do you want to hear no, or have something come up that that delays getting the agreement signed. So you usually do this between signing and closing. At closing is when you get paid. If your company has debt, that's when your debt gets paid. It usually gets paid directly from the acquirer. And then there may be things, like I said, I'm not going to talk about too much, but some things that linger as post-closing matters. The key transaction considerations for you are: what is the transaction structure? How much are you being paid for your company? Are you being paid at closing? Is some of it going into an escrow for liability claims? Is it being paid over time or based on meeting business objectives? All of that stuff is going to be a key transaction consideration for you. And then how certain is the closing? As the seller of your company, you're going to want the closing to be as certain as possible. Remember when I talked about the buyer putting so many resources into this program? Well, similarly, you are. And the buyer got exclusivity in exchange for that. What you want is certainty of closing. You want there to be as few ways out of it for the buyer as possible. Transactions are structured in a couple different ways. They can be a merger, which is probably what people hear about mostly. Honestly, like in the media and on television and stuff, when you hear about a merger, it could be any one of these three things. It could be a true merger where the companies merge together and continue on as one happy company. It could be a stock purchase where the acquirer buys all of the stock from all of your stockholders, and then your company is a subsidiary of the buyer going forward because the buyer owns all the stock. Or they could just buy your assets. As you'll see on the right of this chart, the most seller favorable is a merger. And that's because the approval is easier to get because you don't have to round up all of your stockholders to sell their stock. But then also because all of the liabilities go to the buyer. They bought the company or they've merged with the company and they have all the liabilities. That last point is the same thing for a stock purchase. If they buy all the stock of your company, they also get everything that company owns, all of its obligations and liabilities and assets. But again, it's a little bit tougher to get that transaction closed. Finally, an asset purchase is when the buyer comes in and buys your assets, but leaves you with the liabilities. That's the reason that is the least seller favorable and most buyer favorable. That's it. We can open it up to questions.
Hello, Karen. We are almost out of time, but I did have one great question in the chat that I actually wanted to get answered. Someone in the audience asked, do you recommend that founders search and meet with more than one buyer at a time?
Yes. So competition creates leverage for you, the seller. At any time, this is the same advice, by the way, that I would give if we were talking about looking for an investor or financing. Multiple parties being interested creates a better situation for the seller or for the company. So you will feel like you have a lot more leverage, and you will, in fact, if you have a competitive process.
Love it. Well, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
I know it seems kind of anticlimactic. Karen is such a force in our women's fast pitch, and having Cooley being all of the times that we've heard all your partners talk across the nation. It's just been so great to see who shows up and like the value that you create for our ecosystem. Thank you so much, Karen. It's like I always hear my founder saying, "Oh, Karen, help me here and this, and Cooley help me." So it's just really fun. So as we're getting everybody in to see the finalists, and oh yeah, great, everybody's in. That's wonderful. So I get to say which one is the audience choice and who is the winner of the Women's Fast Pitch. So first, we always do the audience choice of the Women's Fast Pitch Southwest region. So a little bit of like, drum roll, please. Da-da-da-da-da-da. The audience choice is Dapper Boy. Congratulations. Yay.
Thank
Well
you.
done. That's so great. We have some people that really love you in the audience. And then without further ado, we have the winner of the Women's Fast Pitch Southwest region is Clickvoyant. Congratulations. Yes, you can come on and say something. Let's see, where are you? Okay, Mia, go ahead.
I'm right here. Thank you so much for the opportunity. This has been, man, that was really tough. I actually watched everybody's pitch on my mobile device and was just like, how can I become a customer of everybody here? I love your businesses so much. And so it's such a pleasure and an honor to, represent the region, and, we rise together. So no losers here, really.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You did such a great job in your pitch and your Q&A. So now I pass it over to Raven, CEO of Stella.
All right, now we're going to dive into the 3 exciting announcements. The first one being that if you're an accredited investor and you registered for any of our fast pitches as such, we will be reaching out because we are facilitating SPV, special purpose vehicles, for all of our women's fast pitch finalists. So if you registered for this event as an accredited investor, be ready. We will be reaching out. Next, this is the event that culminates into Women's Venture Summit. Women's Venture Summit is happening in 2 weeks in sunny San Diego on September 16th and 17th. The founders will be pitching on the 17th, and a winner will be chosen for a chance to win a $10,000 investment in their next open round. So again, join us to find out who wins. You can use you can register with the code WFP2WVS. Again, WFP2WVS for 15% off all the ticket types. Don't hesitate to register. We look forward to seeing you there. And last but not least, we just had a cohort of I think 12 female founders finish up their Stella Labs. So we have helped them get ready to launch or scale their business, and they will be graduating this Thursday in 2 days from at the same time that this event happened, from 3 to 5 Pacific time. So it's a free event. Please consider joining us. It'll be similar to this one, but also a little different and a lot of fun. So please consider joining us. The links to register are on our social media. So please make sure to follow us on all social media and subscribe to our newsletter. Now, lastly, thank you so much for the founders and the judges and our team for the final pitch. Thank you to our sponsors, Cooley, the Impact Seat Foundation, and Rocket Judge. Again, join us in 2 weeks for Women's Venture Summit on September 16th and 17th. I can't wait to see you there.